Today we're going to be talking about solving quadratics, the special case where your a is equal to 1. So anytime your a is equal to 1, you're going to be able to use this little shortcut that I love to use. So let's go ahead and get started on that. What do I mean a is equal to 1? Well, here we have a quadratic, x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. This quadratic function is in standard form. What is standard form? Well, let me show you. Standard form is any quadratic that's like this, where you have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So anytime you see something written in this sort of format, it's in standard form. Standard form is nice because now you can go ahead and pick out your a, b, and c. What's a, b, and c? Well, wow, I didn't expect that. Okay, so a is the coefficient on the x squared, b is the coefficient on the x, and c is the constant term. So the first step in doing these problems, we're going to identify our a, b, and c. On this case, we have a. Well, there is no a there. What does that mean? Great. So anytime there is no a there, that means the coefficient is 1. So now you know. Anytime you don't have a coefficient, that could be the true for the b as well. Anytime there is no coefficient there, go ahead and put a 1. Unless it's the c, then put a 0. B, that's your 2 right here. You'll notice here's a 2. So b is equal to 2. And c is the constant term. Constant term on this one is negative 15. Got it. So when we're going to go ahead and factor this, first thing we're going to do is multiply our a times our c. This might seem a little redundant when your a is equal to 1 because, well, it's always just going to be your c term, but this will come in handy as a skill when your a is not equal to 1. So you'll multiply your a times c. We're going to get negative 15. That's 1 times negative 15. Now we want to come up with the factors of negative 15 that are going to add up to b are b. So you want the factors of a times c that add up to b. Okay? So what are our factors of 15? Well, never forget about 1 and 15. It's always 1 times something. That's always an option. And there's what? 3 times 5, right? 3 times 5. All right, well, we can stop there because that's going to be it. Because keeping in mind, our c right here, our a times c, that's negative. How do you get a negative? How do you multiply to get a negative number? Well, keep in mind that a positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is also positive. And we have, in order to get a negative number, you have to multiply a positive number times a negative number. So now we know that one of these numbers, between the 3 and the 5, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. Well, you could do it kind of intuitively and think, well, I need it to add up to be positive 2. So which way should it be? So it's positive 2. If you mix it up, it's going to be negative 2. Or you could just know automatically that it's going to be the larger number gets the sign of b. So in this case, our b is positive. Our larger number is 5. So our 5 is going to be positive. And our 3 is going to be negative. Now, the difficult stuff is done. Anytime you mess up, that's usually the spot that you mess up at whenever you have to come up with the factors that add up to b. So if something doesn't come up right, you're going to want to double check that, but shouldn't be an issue here. So here we have our x minus 3, so we're just going to write it next to our x. Boom. Write our positive 5 next to an x. X plus 5. Got it. Those are our factors. So we just went from our standard form to our factored form, where our factors are, one of the factors is x minus 3, the other factor is x plus 5. Why do we do that? Why is this important? Well, factors are cool guys, right? We had what? X minus 3, almost right with 5, x plus 5. Okay. Factors are nice guys because they make it easy to find our zeros. You might hear zeros called a bunch of different things. It's zeros, roots, x-intercepts, solutions. So whenever you need to come up with those, the process is the same. So every single one of those terms I said, they all mean the same thing. Zero, a root, an x-intercept, and a solution. They all mean the same thing. And what that means is you take your factors and set them equal to 0. So whenever you're asked to find any of those, you'll set your factors equal to 0. So we have our x minus 3, that's one factor. We set it equal to 0. We have our x plus 5. That's our other factor. We're going to set it equal to 0. Now we're going to go ahead and solve. So, well, here we have plus 3. We want to move it over to the other side. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Negative 3 plus 3 is 0, so you're left with just x over here. 0 plus 3 is 3. Then we're going to do it to our x plus 5. Well, we have plus 5. We want to move it over. We're going to do the inverse. Inverse of add is subtract. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Positive 5 minus 5, that's 0. So we're left with just x is equal to 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Good. So now we know that our zeros are at x equals 3 and x equals negative 5. Let's see here. I've been using a couple different apps. Let's see if this works. Yes. What does that mean? Well, that means that where x is equal to negative 3 and where x is equal to positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have zeros. X-intercepts. This is our x. This is our y. So that means our parabola, this is not going to be terribly accurate, but just so you can get an idea of what it looks like, our parabola is going to cross over the x-axis at x is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to positive 5. So I'm going to post in another video shortly where you can see what do we do when our our a is not equal to 1. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed the video.